Okay, stop. Before you click away, I need you to understand something. This is not a weird video. This is not a gross video. This is actually one of the most overlooked questions in all of human history. Think about this for 1 second. Half of the human population has been dealing with periods for literally as long as humans have existed. We are talking 300,000 years. And yet, when you open a history book, you will find 40 pages on how ancient Romans built their roads, 40 pages on their wars, 40 pages on their emperors, and approximately 0 sentences on how a Roman woman dealt with her period, while also, just living her life. That gap in history is exactly what we are fixing today. Because here is what nobody tells you. Ancient women were not helpless. They were not suffering in silence. They had systems. They had solutions. Some of them were surprisingly brilliant. And some of the things ancient men believed about menstruation will make you want to put your phone down and just stare at a wall for a moment. This is the video nobody made. Until now. So let us go back, way back, and find out exactly what happened for 300,000 years before the pad was invented. Part 1. What ancient women actually used. Let us start with the most obvious question. If there were no pads, no tampons, no products of any kind, what did they actually use? The answer depends on where and when you look, but across almost every ancient culture, researchers have found the same basic pattern. Women used what was available. In ancient Egypt, archaeological evidence suggests women used soft papyrus, the same plant they made paper from, softened, folded, and used as protection. In ancient Greece and Rome, historians found references to soft wool used in the same way. In parts of Africa and Asia, women used soft grasses, leaves, and animal skins. And across hunter-gatherer societies, the ones closest to our earliest ancestors, anthropologists found something interesting. Many women simply did not manage it the way we think. They moved differently. They rested more during those days. The group understood. There was no shame around it, no hiding it, no pretending it was not happening. It was simply a part of life that the entire community acknowledged without making it strange. That alone is more progressive than most of human history that came after. Part 2. What ancient cultures believed. Now here is where it gets interesting, because while ancient women were quietly figuring out practical solutions, ancient men were busy coming up with theories. And some of these theories are genuinely extraordinary. Pliny the Elder, the Roman scholar, wrote that menstrual blood could kill crops if a woman walked through a field, turn wine sour just by touching it, and cause iron to rust just by contact. He wrote this seriously, as science. In ancient India, the Vedic texts described menstruating women as temporarily impure, not allowed to cook, not allowed to touch certain objects. In ancient Persia, menstruating women were kept in separate areas, fed different food, and not allowed to see fire or look directly at the sun. Meanwhile, the women themselves were just trying to get through the week. But here is the other side of the story. Some ancient cultures went in the complete opposite direction. In certain Native American traditions, menstruation was considered a time of power, a time when women were closest to the spiritual world. They were not isolated as punishment. They were given space as a form of respect. Two completely opposite beliefs about the same biological event existing at the same time in different parts of the world. Part 3. When things finally changed. For most of human history, nothing much changed. Women used cloth, rags, whatever soft material was available. In fact, the phrase "on the rag," which you may have heard, comes directly from this practice. Women literally used rags, washed them, and reused them for thousands of years. The first commercial menstrual pad was not invented until 1888. 1888. Out of 300,000 years of human history, a product specifically designed for this purpose existed for only the last 136 years. And even then, it took decades before women felt comfortable buying them publicly. The first pads were sold without any direct mention of what they were for, because it was considered too embarrassing to advertise openly. The tampon came even later, 1930s, and for most of the 20th century, periods were still barely discussed in public, barely acknowledged in medicine, and almost entirely absent from history books. The gap was not just ancient, it was recent. So here is what we know. For 300,000 years, women handled this without a single commercial product. They used what was around them. They adapted. They built quiet systems within their communities. Some cultures feared it. Some cultures honored it. Most cultures simply did not talk about it and left women to figure it out on their own. The pad was invented 136 years ago, the tampon 90 years ago. Period leave policies are still being debated today, and history books are still spending more pages on Roman roads than on the women who walked them. For 300,000 years, this was simply part of life, acknowledged, managed, survived, without a single aisle in a single pharmacy. Maybe the most remarkable thing is not what ancient women lacked. Maybe it is what they had, that we are only now beginning to recognize. Resilience, resourcefulness, and 300,000 years of figuring it out completely on their own.